Hi, everybody, and welcome today to WinPure's weekly webinar. So we've got dozens registered for the webinar today and a few on the line so far. So hopefully we'll have more joining us shortly. Just a quick introduction before we get started. My name is Ben Cutler, and I'm one of our solutions specialists here at WinPure. I see a few familiar names in the attendees box there, but some other names that I don't recognize. So whether you're new to WinPure or maybe an existing partner or customer, each week we're going to be covering a very specific topic, generally geared towards product training and orientation. But occasionally we're also going to be covering some very specific use cases. You might even say hot topics, occasionally even inviting guest speakers. So I'd invite you all just to stay tuned, join us when you can, and keep your eyes out for the recordings if you can't join us live. This week, we're going to be taking a closer look at the CleanMatrix. So we'll get into that demonstration in a minute. Worth noting is that everyone on the call is muted, but you can ask questions via the question box on the GoToWebinar control panel. And I will try to answer those questions throughout the webinar, usually starting at about the 15-minute mark. If you'd like to learn more about this specific topic or have some other questions, or if you'd like to suggest a topic for a future webinar, or if you'd like to book a call, a one-on-one, or a group demonstration with me, I'll include a link to my online calendar along with a recording of this webinar and all of the other details once we finish up today. So again, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate your time today. We're going to be looking at the CleanMatrix, and I really hope this is going to be interesting and useful for everyone on the call today. I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here in a minute, but just a bit of context about the CleanMatrix. Why is it important? Well, of course, we're all dealing with limited time. Right, throughout the day, throughout the week. If you're doing anything with data cleansing, you know that can be time consuming. So how great would it be if I could give you back a few extra hours of your time each week, right? And that's exactly what we're intending to do. So again, the CleanMatrix, it's one of the most basic functionalities within the software. It's very, very simple to use. But it's also one of the biggest value adds. It's probably one of the most need to have features that I can show you in the software today. So it's super easy to use and it's going to save you a ton of time. Any time that goes into cleansing and standardizing your data, that's time that you can get back using our CleanMatrix. So that's what we're going to look at today. Today's topic is relevant in a variety of different ways for a variety of different folks. Master data management, data quality, data cleansing, data standardization, data prep, data processing operations, ETL, data governance, systems migration, systems implementations, and a lot more. So if you have any specific questions about how the CleanMatrix or something else can help you with your specific project, again, all of those details will be, those contact details will be included in an email once we finish up today. And I would certainly encourage you to reach out with any questions or feel free to book a one-on-one if you'd like to. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the demonstration today. Again, I'll start taking questions at about the 15-minute mark. Let's just go ahead and jump over to the software here. Now I'm going to take a quick look. Just want to make sure that everyone is seeing what they should be. Yeah, it looks great thus far. Great. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. Again, we're looking at the CleanMatrix. So I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner. We're looking at the software here. This is Clean and Match. This is our Enterprise with Address Verification Edition. You can see down in the lower left, we're on the Clean tab, which is where we're going to do data profiling, data exploration, and set up our data cleansing and standardization rules. In the upper left here, if you click on the Clean tab, that's where you're going to see the options to save a CleanMatrix and to load a CleanMatrix. So we're going to come back to this later once we've been able to do some, quick data profiling, just a quick example of how we might approach data cleansing and data standardization. So once we've got everything set up, we're going to go ahead and save that as a clean matrix. And that clean matrix can then be used on other data sets. So it, again, it's going to be a big time saver. So let's go ahead and take a look down below. If you direct your eyes towards the lower right side of the screen here, that's where you can see where we're doing our data profiling. And a little bit above the data profiling metadata and statistics here, you can see kind of a legend letting you know that anything in red is potentially a high data quality issue. Anything in yellow, you can see that over to the right here. Anything is yellow, in yellow is a potentially medium data quality issue. Now, what's really great about this is you can visually validate these issues, right? So, uppercase in any particular column may or may not be a data quality issue for you, right? Really just depending on your data quality standards, your data governance rules, you might say. But you can actually do that visual validation, which is what we would encourage you to do before doing any cleansing and standardization. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to start double clicking inside any of these cells. So if I see some red, that's the software notifying me that there may be a potential data quality issue there. And when I double click in the cell, essentially what this is telling me is that there are two records that contain dots in the address 1 field. So again, that may or may not be an issue, but if I double click up top, two things are going to happen. One is that the software is going to show me how to remove those dots. So you can see this has been highlighted up top here. So it makes it quick and easy. You don't have to kind of look around for these things. Second is that you're going to get the preview up top here in the upper left window to be able to do some visual validation, to be able to make a determination about whether or not that really is a data quality issue. So feel free to work your way through the software and do a little bit of data profiling. So again, using the metadata down below here, you can double click into these cells. It's going to show you how to remove things. It's also going to show you the value that contains that potential data quality issue. Multiple spaces, all of this can be previewed in the upper left here. So you're going to decide, how you need to kind of cleanse and standardize and prep that data per your project requirements. Each set of requirements are going to be a bit different. Here we can take a look at upper only, lower only, proper only. So there's quite a bit of metadata down here to make use of to better understand where those quality issues may exist. Max length, average words, things like that. All of this could be helpful. If I'm particularly interested in the title field, for example, I can see that one record is uppercase only. Let's go ahead and do a quick check, double click down below, and I can see that value up top. It's all uppercase. If I look over here, the majority of that data in that column is proper case. And I can do, again, a double click down here, and I can do a quick visual validation check in the upper left here. So very useful information down below, and that should really guide your hand in terms of any kind of cleansing and standardization that needs to be done. So I'll probably go through here and I'll want to get rid of some of this red. So a quick example of actually doing some of this cleansing, the time that goes into it, and then the time that you can save by using the clean matrix. So if I look around here, I'm probably going to want to remove trailing spaces, probably from all columns. Same with leading spaces, multiple spaces, almost always problematic. So I'm going to go ahead and give a few quick examples here of how that can be done. I'm going to go ahead and start by removing trailing spaces from the ID column, and then I'm going to use the check all to apply that one change to all columns, just removing trailing spaces from all columns. I'll do the same thing with leading spaces. I'll do the same thing with non-printable characters. I'll do the same thing with multiple spaces. And maybe I want to work through this and do a bit more cleaning. So I'm going to go ahead and run clean. Now again, keep your eye on the profiling down here. After I've run the clean, the updates up top here automatically feed the data down below. So I can get a real-time transformation effect here. I can actually see the data being cleaned as it's being cleaned, right? So I no longer have trailing spaces, leading spaces, non-printable characters or multiple spaces. So very, very useful in terms of how you're going to use the profiling and the cleansing kind of hand in hand. So you might say, hey, Ben, I also need to remove, dashes from the zip field, and I don't see that up top. How can I do that? Well, I can remove other characters here. It's very quick and very simple. So we're going to go ahead and remove a dash there. Just a few quick examples in terms of how we can clean up the data here, some of the things that we might want to do. We can see just down below, just a visual check, or we can see it over here that we do have, an address 1 and address 3, quite a few empty fields there. Maybe we want to fill that in with something. So again, we're looking at the address 1 and address 3. So up top, I might fill that in, empty to a value. I'm just going to say empty in both the address 1 and address 3 fields. Now again, for casing, we looked at the title field. And for casing, we wanted to put that all in proper case, just so we could meet that standard that we saw. Pretty much everything was in proper case there. Again, we're going to run the clean as we go here. And you can see the changes being made down below. So we might want to set a few other things up. We might want to do some splitting, splitting people names, for example. Let's take a quick look at the people names. So here we've got a full name column. Just shows, a potential first name, last name, maybe a middle initial, maybe a title, maybe a suffix, things like that. We can do that name splitting very quickly and very easily. So everything that can be done within the software here in terms of the cleansing and standardization can be done very quickly and very easily. But again, at the end of the day, you're probably going to put some time into the profiling and the just setting up the rules. And that's where our CleanMatrix is going to come in. So I'm going to set all of this up, and then I'm going to save it as a matrix, and I'm going to be able to come back and use that matrix to automatically set up those cleansing options on other files. So very, very useful. So again, I'm just working through this and doing some cleansing. I might also say, for that title field, I have a particular interest there, so I want to do some cleanup using our word manager. Here I can work with values or words. Well, because we're looking at titles that may contain multiple words, I'm probably going to stick to values on this one. And I might want to roll up some of the more common variations just to a more common version of that title. So if you take a look here, you can see I've got different versions or variations of manager. So I've got manager, general manager, and branch manager. Well, the word manager is going to help me to do those replacements. It does it in bulk, so it makes big broad stroke changes. You can see the count over here to the left. I can sort by right-clicking. I can sort by count and only make changes to those most popular values if that's what I decide to do. But just a few quick examples here in terms of how we might do some standardization, how we might clean up the data, how we'll save a CleanMatrix, and how we'll use that on a new set of data. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in and just create a couple of replacement rules here, manager and manager, just rolling up these variations to a more common version. Now, same thing, I've got quite a few owners, but I've also got, take a look here, I've got partner and president and principal, and I may want to roll those up and just standardize those to owners, right? So now I can go ahead and save this and just make the changes in the data set here. But if I want to reuse these rules, I can do that. So here up top, you can see load and save. So I'm going to go ahead and save these rules just in the system files there. I'm going to say word manager titles. And I'm just going to save that as a set of rules that I can use later. Right? So very similarly to the CleanMatrix, I can set up these rules, I can save it as a template, and I can reuse those rules later, saving a ton of time. So we're on all options here where I can kind of scroll to the left and to the right, and I can easily view and modify all of the cleansing and standardization that's been done. I like this view. You might also want to go kind of tab for tab and look at it this way. Not so overwhelming, you might say, and look at this, based on the type of operation that you might want to perform, remove. And if you scroll over that, you can see down below, we get an explanation and an online help section. So it's real easy to use. It's very quick. It doesn't require much training at all. But I can go tab by tab and set this up. Or again, I might want to use the all options. Now in this case, I've spent a good 5-10 minutes kind of explaining and profiling and setting up my cleansing options here. And I think we're pretty much ready to go. So I've set everything up, and now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to save this as a matrix, a clean matrix. So I'm going to say clean matrix webinar August 21st. Save that as a matrix, and it's done, right? All of this has been saved essentially as a template. And you think about, you know, business and work and all of the different ways that we use templates in life. And, you know, again, they're critical to job efficiency, essentially, at the end of the day. So this should really be a big time saver for anyone using the software. Now, if I come back to data and I load a similar file here, I'm going to go to import. I'm going to load a similar file. This file is going to load up with a blank slate, right? I've imported a new file, come over to clean, and it's importing with a blank slate, right? We've got to tell it how we want to clean the data. And you might want to do some additional profiling there, right? You might find some other things in this file that you didn't find in the first file. But I can quickly and easily fill in those blanks and apply the exact same cleansing settings with that clean matrix. So come up top to clean, go ahead and load matrix. Here it is. And you can see everything has been done now for me, right? Now, the one exception is I want to load that word manager file. So if I take a look at title, load the word manager file, makes it real easy to do. Word manager files, save, and we're good to go. Run clean, less red down below, right? All of the cleansing settings have been applied. Everything has been cleaned down below. So everything looks good again, right? So again, it's very, very simple to use, really requires minimal training. You know, the basic explanation for this, you know, doesn't really take much more than a couple of minutes. But it's a big value add. I mean, it really should be a need to have feature here. So I hope everyone is using this feature. I hope it saves you tons of time. You know, I'd love to hear from anyone on the call today or anyone that watches the recording. You know, if you were using it and now you are, what kind of time that's saving you daily, weekly. You know, please feel free to reach out and let us know. We love to hear those success stories. So we're about halfway through the call here, and hopefully it's pretty straightforward. But you know, again, you know, if you have any questions in terms of how that works, if you'd like to see something again, if anything wasn't clear, I'm going to open it up to questions here. Want to keep it short. You know, give you some of your time back to your day here if we can. Just a very specific topic today that we really believe is going to be useful for everyone on the call here. So. Open it up to questions. Feel free to ask questions about what we saw today, the clean matrix, or anything else that that might be on your mind here. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my questions. I see a few hands raising. So if you stay patient with me here, we're going to go ahead and take a look. So the first question here, is this being recorded so I can show my team? Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I know a lot of folks joined in a little later. I might have missed that introduction, but yeah, this is being recorded, and as soon as we finish up today, we're going to send an email out with a link to the recording and a link to my online calendar if you'd like to schedule a quick call, a one-on-one, or even a group demo. Happy to help with that. So yeah, please do share. Next question here, is there a help manual for this? Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a quick look here, and you're actually going to find a help manual here all throughout the workflow. We try to make it real easy for you. And again, you know, for most folks, you know, you don't need more than an hour or two of training, you know, to be able to feel comfortable with the software. And then maybe you work through a few you know, practice scenarios, you know, practice projects, you know, 5-10 projects, and you're probably feeling, you know, really comfortable and really confident with the software. So really minimal training is required, but all throughout the software, you're going to see the opportunity to, let me get this off my screen here. All throughout the software, you're going to see the opportunity to access the help file here. So you can see a little help icon down below. So we've got the explanation up top, or we can use that hyperlink there just to take us directly to that section of the help file online there. So great question, really easy to use and really easy to find your way around. See what else we have coming in here. What is the difference in use cases between the word manager and a knowledge base? Yeah, great question. Yeah, so the question here is really referring to the word manager, which we can see on our screen, and the knowledge base that we see on the match step, knowledge base library. So the difference in the use cases is really, do you want to clean the data or do you want to use the knowledge base to get better match results? And typically you're going to do both. The knowledge base, it's already built out for you and you might add to it, and it does everything in memory. So it's not actually going to make any visible changes to the data. Whereas the word manager is going to make changes to those values right here within the data set. So you're going to see the changes being made when you work with the word manager. If I work with street suffixes, and I mostly have abbreviations for street suffixes, and I replace av with avenue, you're going to see that change down below when you work with the word manager. On the other hand, when you're working with the knowledge base, at the matching step here, come up to match, you can see the knowledge base here. This is actually built out for you with the Enterprise Edition or better. You're actually going to be able to add to that as well. And all of this is going to happen then in memory. So we do some noise removal with this. We also do essentially some enrichment of the data for names. So we've got knowledge bases for address parts, typically street suffixes, street prefixes, things like that, company types, contact names, phone codes, post name titles, and a lot more. So, and then again, with the enterprise or above here, you can also add to that, which makes it really useful. So the knowledge base is specifically for matching, whereas the word manager, again, that's to make some changes to the data as it exists there. A great question. I'm pretty sure that was probably helpful for many. Next question here, countries, states, cities, and local addresses, which would be the best way to get them right? Is there a way to add catalogs to query from? Great question. Maybe you can shoot just a bit of clarification there. Countries, states, cities, and local addresses, which would be the best way to get them right? Is there a way to add catalogs to query from? Yeah, so a couple of things here. Now, I'm not sure that I understand the question in its entirety, but good question. And please reach out to me directly. We can put some time in the calendar and discuss in more detail. But just a few comments based on the question as I understand it. You'll see down below here, we do have in the enterprise version, we do have an add-on for international address verification. So we have address verification available for 210 or 240 plus countries or something along those lines. So that is one of the most bulletproof ways to handle location challenges or data quality issues related to locations. Above and beyond that, of course, if you have some sort of, catalog or reference database or something along those lines, a lot of the times that can be used when matching, right? So that is, a potential approach to that, essentially matching, cities from your master data to kind of a reference file to do some standardization that way. That's a common approach to that as well. And it's something that you can do very easily and in bulk. So it's something we can discuss offline. Word Manager is also a possibility. So you can absolutely work with our Word Manager here. And if you want to just plug in like a CSV, to do some standardization with countries, states, cities, and maybe even parts of local addresses that might be useful for you. So it really kind of depends on your use case there. But again, feel free to schedule some time with me, and we can look at that into more detail. What I will try to do here is to go back and review some of these questions after the call, and if the contact information is there, I will try to follow up with each individual that submitted those questions. But if you want to be a bit proactive, we're going to send you an email after this. Feel free to shoot me an email with that question, or again, schedule a time, and if you want to queue up some data and look at the scenario together, we can do that. Happy to help out that way. Let me see if there's anything else I can get to today before we wrap up. Can we download a demo of this? Yeah, absolutely. Right on our website. Just enter your details. We'll send that out to you. Appreciate your interest. Is there a way to automate the process of cleaning? Yeah, absolutely. Great question, by the way. So with that Enterprise Edition, you are going to have that automation module available to you. Essentially, that's a scheduler that'll schedule this work for you. So yeah, absolutely. If it's something you want to look at in more detail, we can set up a time to do so. See if anything else came in here. Are there any limits on the number of CleanMatrix files I can create? Great question. That's a good one before we wrap up the call today. There aren't any limits. So, a lot of you are going to have, different files and different data sources and things like that. And, you've got different column schemas, data schemas that you're working with. So, there aren't any limits in terms of the number of CleanMatrix files you can create. So really the sky is the limit in terms of how much time you can save. So again, very quickly, very easily, we looked at what it's going to take, putting a little bit of time into the profiling, the cleansing, and then saving that as a matrix, loading some new data and loading that matrix. I'm sure you're going to save quite a bit of time with that. So hopefully this was useful for everyone. Again, thank you all for joining. Please keep an eye out for next week's topic. If you can't join us live, feel free to register, and we'll shoot you the recording. But thanks again for joining us. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your interest. It's been fun, and have a great day.